As the smoke clears, comes the dawn of a new day for new Star Trek. And it's been a long time, a couple of months, I think, since we've talked, Marcelo, and a lot has happened. The writer's strike has ended, uh, and now a lot of things are getting back. By the way, the deal hasn't been ratified yet. Matthew Modine and some others are probably going to vote against it. Now, I must say, just on that note, everything's going back into production now. Just because uh, the deal might not get ratified doesn't mean they'll go back on strike right away. It'll probably happen like next year or something. But the strike, it has ended. I know a dude who's like, the strike isn't ended. The deal's. I'm like, no, the strike. They called off the strike, dude. Like the strike's done. It's just that the deals has to be voted on December 12th, I think. And they
Yeah, it's the
released it.
12th.
They've released the whole thing. You can read 100. I think it's 130 pages or something. I read some of
Hmm.
it, and I'm like, I don't. It's like literally like reading numbers. It's
Yeah,
like it
yeah,
doesn't
yeah.
make any
It's
sense.
like, yeah, it's like reading
It's a
Chinese.
headache.
You have to be like a real Hollywood insider
You
to
have to know the language,
understand
yeah.
all that minutia. Yeah.
And here's a there's you're kind of paranoid. Some people are paranoid about like all the loopholes that could be exploited in the deal. But uh, Lower Deck season 5 is in production. Strange New Worlds is in production.
Yep.
Section 31 is gearing up.
Mhm.
This Section 31 movie. Uh, no plans for Star Trek 4. So, but let's start with Star Trek Lower Decks because we have not talked about that. It has come and gone. Uh, what were your overall thoughts on it? Because you're the bigger fan here.
Yeah. I thought, look. I really liked this season of Star Trek Lower Decks, and the thing that I really liked about it is that they split up our main cast of characters, and they all sort of went on their own self-contained journey throughout the season. They came together when they needed to, but it was really nice to see them by themselves and in different pairings. And I was really happy that Boimler and Rutherford got like this whole they had this whole Mark Twain thing going on this season. I thought was really funny.
I did like
Um
that, yeah.
the other thing that I really enjoyed is how the writers kept teasing the main arc of the season with this mysterious ship taking different species from within the Star Trek um, franchise. And when we find out who is behind that mysterious ship, I was like, "That's really cool." But it's a really deep cut, but it's really cool.
I I feel that that mystery was intriguing throughout, and right up until the end of episode 9, I was on board. And then when it was revealed that it was Nick Licardo, I think the last two episodes, I think the first one is better in my opinion. But when the reveal happens with Nick Licardo, and you figure out like they're all working together, and there's fight after fight after fight, and there's that connection to First Duty from TNG, like the flashback to that Wesley Crusher episode where
Right.
the flight goes wrong and the guy gets killed and they try to cover it up, and Nick Licardo is the leader of the pack basically, and he's a bad seed. But he, of course, he's played by Robert Duncan McNeil, who also
Hmm.
plays Tom Paris. They make a joke about how he looks like him.
Right.
Uh, I found me just for me personally, I found that the season finales of the last 3 seasons were a bit more satisfying for me. I
Hmm.
do like a couple of episodes, but I gotta say that just start with the episode 1, Tuvix. I just thought it was like, okay, Star Trek Picard, yes, gets accused of the member berries up the wazoo, but they do that with in accordance to like the story. Like it makes sense with the story. What Lower Decks does is that, uh, for example, they go to Voyager, and they even say in the episode all of Voyager's deep cuts show up, and just one after another, and it's like you don't have time to breathe. And then there's the whole Tuvix thing, and it gets so absurd and out of control, which can work for Lower Decks at times. But at the end, I was like, I'm not too fond of this particular episode. I don't even like the second episode all that much. I have bones, yet I must flee. Everybody, a lot of people love Moopsy, the little cute thing that sucks out the
Whoopsie.
bones. I
Yeah.
also really tired of sorry, uh, number one, Jerry O'Connell.
uh Jack Ransom. Ransom.
Ransom, yes, Jesus.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm sick of Ransom and Mariner bumping heads
Yeah.
because we've already seen that on top of her and her mother bumping heads, and then now that it seems that she's made up with her mother, like onto this thing again, and it's like I'm just waiting for this character to mature, and I like that by the end of it, she does give some explanation. It is connected to the Licardo thing, and
Yeah. Yeah, well,
that's
look,
fine,
yeah, I think, well, first of all, I just want to say really quickly, I really loved the opening episode of this season, the Two Bix episode, but the only reason for that is because I'm such a big Voyager stand. So all the Easter eggs, all the craziness, all the machinations of that episode was just a pure joy for me. Um I hope that Mariner moves forward from this season and takes sort of the revelations from this season and eventually discovers that she is capable that she is capable of holding a higher position in Starfleet, because in that episode where we find out where her anger is coming from and how it's connected to the Locarno situation, I thought that was a little bit convenient as from a writing aspect. I thought that was a little bit convenient for the writers to tie up what was for the writers to tie Mariner to Locarno. So yeah, that's what I thought about that.
uh, yeah. I hope now that she's done butting heads with Ransom too. Like I hope if they're gonna do, well, they are doing a season 5, but I hope in the story it's not same old Mariner. And in some ways, getting to the next episode 3, in the Cradle of Vexilon, which is it's an okay episode. But what bothered me the most was that Boimler is dangerously incompetent, and it's not funny even as a joke. So when he gets down there with T'Lyn and the crew, he doesn't know how to properly disarm. Well, like they don't have any. Not. It seems like T'Lyn is the only one who has knowledge of how to do this safely. And if she
Right.
wasn't there, they'd all be dead.
Yeah, that's
So
right.
he, he
That's
he's he's a
absolutely right.
smart guy and everything, but then he's like, there's this like weird dynamic where he's conveniently an idiot whenever they want it to be like jokey or
Mhm.
funny, and it's like you're sacrificing the character and the story for cheap laughs, I think. And that whole thing where he's got to put it back together again, and T'Lyn has, I like T'Lyn. I'm glad that she's there, but I like her, seeing her in every episode that she's in. But um, like I said, if she wasn't there, he would have killed everybody.
Right, right, right.
Like
The-
it's like they
It
went down there without a plan. She should have been the leader. Like what? Anyway,
right. It seems like to me that the writers only want Boimler to be Boim. It seems like to me that the writers only want Boimler to be bold Boimler when they absolutely need him to be, and when they need him to be a a a buffoon for the story's sake, they will have him be a buffoon in in what I do is called writer's convenience. So when it comes to Boimler's behavior in that episode, that's what I would chalk it up to.
I still like Tendi and Rutherford a little more. I find their characters are just better handled in
Hmm.
general.
Hmm.
And I like how Rutherford was like, I could have been promoted lots of times, but I just wanted to stay with you guys. There is some comedic value. I forget which episode it's in. I'm pretty sure it's in the first one or two episodes where Boimler gets the room and it really is
Oh
so
yeah,
dumb.
that's
I have
right.
to laugh at it
Yeah.
because the idea that I don't know if it's just Cerritos or all ships. There's like no soundproofing whatsoever. And yes, it would not make sense to put quarters between two holodecks, and you would
No.
not hear everything in the holodeck as if it was a movie theater in the next room or something. It's just it's silly. But I kind of dug how Rutherford comes in. He's like, just put the blinds on. Like Rutherford is the smart. Rutherford and Tendy are the smartest characters in the entire show. And
Yeah, they really
yeah,
have to get together at some point. Like I don't know. I don't know if Mike has I don't know if Mike has entertained that option, but it would be really cool to see them get together and to see what that would do to their friendship dynamic, if that would make it better or make it worse. I mean, they did sort of they did sort of give us a little example of what that would be like with them having to go on that away mission together. But and the fact that they were so uncomfortable with each other in that away mission makes me really intrigued to see um, what they would be like if they weren't being ordered to be a couple. So I don't know that
yeah,
that might be just me.
yeah. We'll get to that episode, but another Tendy great episode. I think this was the highlight of the episode so far as I was watching it. Episode 4 was something borrowed, something green, and it's where Tendy
Mhm.
goes back to the Orion homeworld. It's very melodramatic and kind of like Titans, and uh, it kind of reminds you of like Roman times or something. But it's a what is it? A patriarchal society.
Yes,
Matriarchal,
it's
sorry,
patriarchal society. Yeah,
matriarchal.
yeah.
Yeah,
Matriarchal,
the opposite of what I
patriarchal.
meant.
Right,
Yeah, and like men aren't necessarily they are subservient, but it's not in a way where it's overtly sexist. I mean, it's I guess it is kind of sexist for a comedic sense. But I say if you were to translate that into a live action thing where you actually went to Orion, and I I, I think it wouldn't be men wouldn't be
willing to
as sexually dominated, I would say, because
right,
I
right,
guess
right.
the thing is in Orion society, the women's pheromones are
Hmm.
so power. It's not like humans or Vulcans or anything. Although I don't know about Vulcans, but
Right, right.
like in particular, the females have this uh, power that men, and that works in the human world too, but it's exaggerated on the Orion world, and of course the idea or the conceit might have been the original Orion thing was that like the Orion slave girl is that the women were the subservient ones uh, and the ones who were subjugated, but of course the Enterprise episode turned that on its head, and
Right.
it's the females that run the show, and I like that in the comedic sense and how they deal with the episode. And you get to see Tendy's family and all that stuff.
Yeah, yeah. That episode was kind of my least favorite episode because I didn't really take it from the angle of seeing how the society works. I just took it as Tendi coming home to a family that wants her to be one thing, but then when she chose to be something else, aka a Starfleet officer, her family sort of shunned her, and I thought it was interesting to learn more about where Tendi came from and why the way that and why she is the way that she is. But I would have wanted the writers to do something different. I mean, I don't mean to throw hot, cold water on your lovely take there, but for me, that episode didn't play as well as it did for you.
Yeah, there is room in the future. I think hopefully in season 5, it'll be more personal. That
Right.
stuff with her sister, and it's all it's kind of hokey.
Mhm.
It's it is an episode that goes by very fast, and it's all about it's action beat next to an action beat, And yeah, there isn't that time to breathe and like really discover more of her character in that way. In
Right.
fact, I think there's more character development with Tendi that's more
Mhm.
emotionally resonant in an upcoming episode that you mentioned earlier. But
Mhm.
the one, episode 5, empath. Oh God, pathological fallacies.
Huh. Okay.
Uh, this was a fun episode. I like that it was Tlin focused. This is the first actually since I guess Wage Dej
Wage
that like
does or something.
featured or focused on I just forgot her name. Tlin.
To land, yeah.
Tlin.
Right.
And I like the bait and switch where you think everybody's going crazy because the beta said women, but it's
Mhm.
actually a callback to TNG with Sarek that
Right.
their Vulcan emotions can affect people in that way.
Mhm.
All because she couldn't send a message, and that made her. And I like that because it's like sometimes when you're kind of on the edge and you can't do a certain thing, and you're like, oh no, don't do this to me. But with Intilin's case, it's just send, can't send, hmm. But inside, it's like a storm that she's repressing. A fucking motherfucking send it. And you don't realize it until that point in the episode where she's like, yeah, like this is like affecting me, and Mariner's kind of surprised, so I like that. I like Mariner and Tallinn. I think they work. I don't like Tallinn and Boimler because Tallinn has like to babysit him like he's
A child, right?
an incompetent child,
Right, right, right.
an incompetent child scientist. But the next one,
Yeah.
episode 6. Oh, sorry. Yeah. So go
n-
ahead.
Yeah, no. I really like that episode that focuses in and around to Lynn, because to go off what you said, when she can't send the message outwardly, she's fine, but inwardly, she's having like 50 fucking panic attacks at one time, and that's really similar to what I do when I can't do something that I normally do, or when I'm faced with a problem. Outside, outwardly, I'm fine, but inwardly, I'm just going through 50 fucking worst case scenario things for something so simple. So
Yeah.
I really identify with Lynn for this episode.
Yeah, and I'm glad they include. I thought they were going to include her in season 3 because the season 2 episode that she was featured in.
Right. Hmm.
But like they took a while. It was like,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, they did.
there are, I think there are times where some episodes where I don't even think she's in the Ferengi episode, is she? Maybe she is.
I
I honestly
yeah,
can't remember.
I can remember.
I haven't rewatched these. I just know by memory. I
No.
can't.
Yeah, no, I
I don't
haven't
want to rewatch an animated series for analysis. I'll leave that to other people. But I do
yeah.
have impressions about the season certainly.
Yeah, I haven't watched these since they aired, so I'm doing this off of memory as well, so I'm with you, so don't.
So the next one, Parth Ferengi's Hard Place. Uh, Cerritos visits the Ferengi home world. I did like this one, and my favorite part, of course, was the Rutherford and Tendi situation where they have to pose as a couple, and I suppose it forces them to get a little too close for comfort.
Mhm.
So, like, maybe whatever feelings they had bubbling for each other uh, is making them feel awkward, or it could be
Right.
that they are really just platonic, and the idea of being together is awkward. Uh, but I think they got a thing for each other, and it's just
Yeah.
they don't want to ruin the friendship. That's all.
Yeah, no, I mean, look. You guys already know my feelings because I kind of spelled it a little earlier, but I do think that when Rutherford and Tendi aren't forced to be in a quasi fake relationship, I do think that their true feelings are going to come to the surface, and I think that's going to create some interesting dynamics for them moving forward in whatever situation that they are put in, uh, uh, as the writers explore that relationship.
And also Rom was in this, and
Right. I forgot about Rom. I forgot about that.
that was okay. The whole negotiation between them and the captain, it's like okay. The B story
Mm.
is fine. I just like I like all the stuff down on Ferenginar.
Right,
Um,
right, right.
and like they're like a progressive society now.
Mm-hmm.
Well, more progressive than they were.
More
Episode
progressive.
7 is the most absurd episode of this season. It's just so great. This is a few badgies more. This is where I'm
Oh,
on board. I like all the silliness, but you know where Lower Decks is like constantly reminding us this is in the Star Trek universe. It's connected, especially with later on Nick and the whole connection to the first. Is it the first duty? Is that? Am I getting that right?
yes, it's a
It's
first studio. I believe you're getting that right. Yeah.
and which is also connected partially to the episode Lower Decks of TNG.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Badgie's such a crazy character, and what happens in this episode where he splits and all this stuff.
Right.
This is where I have to like say, I get it. Officially, it's canon. Everything that happens in this cartoon really happened in the universe. Whatever, it's all fake anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But
It's all.
personally, I can dismiss. I
You
can
know what?
just. I don't. I don't. I don't. I get. I would accept. Boimler and Mariner in live action doesn't quite work as well as other people think. I mean, they are toned down when they're in Strange New Worlds, and it's not like
Right.
full cartoon.
Right.
But to imagine every episode of this Lower Deck show, you can imagine some in live action that would totally work, but some are just like this is full Warner Brothers Acme shit that you couldn't possibly fully translate. So if people are content to say all this, all of the craziest, stupidest things, and the robots in the prison, and
Yeah.
they're getting probation and stuff. Like it's just you got to throw up your hands, man. If you,
Yeah.
I enjoy it, but I can only enjoy it if I say that's not really part of Trek fucking canon history. And people are like, well, you gotta accept it. Well, I don't gotta accept shit.
No, you don't. No, you don't. As a fan, you are given the right to accept what you want to accept and what you don't want to accept. And you know me, PJ. We've been friends for a while. I say canon schmanon. And listen, if people want to say that everything that happens in Lower Decks is canon, no matter how outlandish some things that happen in the show are, good for them. But they shouldn't come after me if I don't want to accept their viewpoint of everything. It's just like it's almost too much. Like PJ said, at that point, I just want to put up my hand and say enough. I thought the Badgie episode was okay. It was fine. It was nice to see that character again, but I didn't love it as much as everybody else did.
Yeah, Jack Brayer does a great job. I like his voice acting as Badgie. But now you have
Right,
Goodgie. It's like,
right. Good G. Sounds
oh
like a
yeah.
gangster.
But can you? But I ask people who love Lord X not to rain on their parade. I'm like, imagine some of these episodes. Just really imagine them in a live action. It would be Naked Gun. It would be Airplane. It would be
Yeah,
Mel Brooks. It
it'll be
wouldn't
bonkers.
it wouldn't exist in the realm of believability at all.
Right,
But
right.
that's why it's a cartoon, so it works in that context. I suppose some people maybe in their heads would
Hmm.
translate it into live action canon and like edit it,
Right.
saying like maybe like this kind of stuff didn't wasn't as goofy and whatever. You can do that. I'm not
Yeah, of
saying like
course.
it's
Of course.
impossible to imagine the show as canon. It's just
Right.
not for me. It's personally. Um,
Mm.
yeah. So the next one, the an episode, what is it? 8
8.
Caves.
Yeah,
This is the
8.
one that I was like, I know some people like that. I'm like, this is the equivalent of of a live action show filler episode
Yeah.
where it's not necessarily bottle episode, but maybe it's like let's use the same cave set for three different stories or something. I don't know. It was good. You see the characters talk about their separate adventures. I guess my favorite one was the Rutherford one where he has the baby with the weird baby with the doctor, and
Right, 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 right.
everything else is kind of like I forget what happened. Well, I know
Yeah, I
people
mean,
in the Mariner one, people got old or something, but yeah, go ahead.
yeah, my favorite part of that of episode 8 is seeing Rutherford have his flashback of where he like takes stewardship of this alien baby with Dr. Ta'ana. I thought that was cool. Everything else was okay, I guess. Like PJ, I haven't seen these episodes since they aired, so for the audience that may be watching right now, you're gonna have to forgive me because I don't remember everything.
Yeah, I retained very little memory from that episode. I remember the weird baby thing with the doctor and the Mariner and somebody else getting old and somebody's leg falling off. What was
Right.
even the middle one? Oh no, there was one with Tendi where she's remembering from the first season about something.
Right.
I
Yeah.
can't.
Yeah. No. 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 The thing with Tendi was her memory was her first day on the Cerritos.
Yes, they go back to the. Excuse me.
Yeah.
They go back to the first episode. Yes,
Hmm.
but that one is one I just
Blacked out for some reason.
no. It's I mean I watched it a month ago or more than a month. I don't know. Yeah, more than a month ago.
Hmm.
So it's like it's the one that I just didn't care about as much. I didn't.
Right.
It is probably on par with probably the first two episodes of the season. And Lower Decks in the first three seasons, I found that the all of the better episodes were in the second half. This is more like scattered in terms of quality for me personally, because once it gets to episode 4, then I'm like, okay, now we're getting something. And then 5 is like, okay, cool. 6, great. Few badgies more, all right. Then K's. So like, it's not often that the 8th episode in the Lower Deck season is a dud. Usually they're
Yeah.
quite good. Uh, and of course, let's talk about 9 and 10 as one because they are a two-parter.
Sure.
The inner fight play on the episode TNG episode title, "The Inner Light," and "Old Friends, New Planets," which is a play on some old friends. I guess was referring to Locarno. Is it Locarno or Licardo? Locarno.
Nicarno, I think.
Yeah.
Nicarno.
Nick Carno. I thought it was Lick. God.
I
Nick
think
Nick
it's
Cardo. Nick Cardo. God
yeah,
damn
yeah,
it.
yeah. I think it's Nicarno.
FYI, I've never cared about that character. I liked the
Yeah.
episode,
I don't. Yeah,
but
I don't care either.
I just he's such a douche in that episode. He makes me angry when I watch it. I'm like, oh, this fucking guy, Tom Paris wannabe. No.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of him either, so I'm with you on that one.
So, what were your impressions of this episode?
Yeah,
Were
yeah,
these two?
look. No, 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 no. These two episodes were really, really good, but I feel that you had to be like really invested in the Nick Locarno thing of it all and the whole, is Tom Paris Nick Locarno thing of it all. And listen, I'm a big Voyager fan, but I kind of don't really care about Nick Locarno. I did find it really, really interesting how Mike and his writing team took something took took one of the best episodes of TNG and were able to tie it back into Lower Decks. But like I mentioned previously, I don't like the way um that Mike McMahon and his team felt the need to tie Boimler to Nick Locarno and to have that story device be the reason why she was feeling down on herself and why
Were you
she,
talking about
she
his connection to Boimler or Mariner?
Mariner, yes, Mariner.
Yeah,
I'm
okay,
sorry,
yeah.
Mariner. And and why his connection, his connection to Mariner caused her to realize that she wanted to be one type of officer instead of promoting upward. She wants to stay at the lower decker because that's where she feels she's the most needed and she can help the most. If that makes any sense.
That the yeah, that was the relieving part about the whole two part, all the action and all the drama and all the species. I like the first part of it. I'm like, I'm on board, and then the reveal, I'm like, oh, okay. And they do
Right.
the
Right.
flashback. Part of me says like, don't mess with TNG like that. Leave it alone. Don't. I don't want to. I don't want to know now that Nick, uh,
Locarno.
went on to do all this shit, which is like a weird plan, and the motivations are spotty, and it's like cartoon villain motivation, and just the typical Mariner hero stuff, which is fine. But when it gets to her kind of giving an explanation of like why you like this Mariner, God damn it, you're obviously very capable. All your
Right.
superior officers are constantly trying to promote you because they know you're good. You're
Right.
getting old. You're
Just
getting you're
take a
getting
promotion.
you're get yeah. You don't want to be a Riker,
Yeah.
sitting sitting in the
Sit.
safe.
Yeah. 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 Sitting in the first uh sitting in the same seat for 7 years. Or no, 8 years. I'm sorry, 8 years.
That's why one of the things I love about Shelby is like she calls him out. Like she has no fear of just saying like, listen, I see what you're doing here, and
Right.
it really it gets to Riker because part of it's true. And I don't appreciate, actually, in retrospect, what they did to her in Picard season 3. I think I think uh, one of the deaths in it from an old character worked, but in terms of Shelby, it's like,
Yeah.
man, we don't know she's dead. By the way, they said that
Mhm.
like we don't know for sure, but it looks like she got hurt at least. I'm
Right.
assuming she died, but like the way they took her out in that finale in Picard, it's like
Right. That
So
was not
sometimes
cool.
when you mess with old things, you can kind of, spoil it a bit. Not that you retroactively destroy what they've already done. It's just, I wanted to imagine them. It's kind of, I'm going to bring up a weird example. It's kind of like, uh, who's the woman who plays Phoebe on Friends? Lisa Kudrow said
Lisa
in the
Kudrow.
Friends reunion about, like, would you ever do a movie or a reboot? And she's like, no, because I want the fans to imagine for themselves where the characters would be as opposed to have like their expectations dashed by what the writers. But she did give like I think Phoebe would be and like a pretty safe answer, and that's what I like. Like if you're gonna mess with old characters, and of course I predicted. I said when the reveal of Nick Picard, I said I said to myself he's definitely gonna die. Like, there's no
Yeah.
redemption for this. I mean, psychotic floating robots can be
Psychology.
redeemed, no problem.
Right.
But this, it's like this whole thing of like the villain so on the edge, so you'll never come back from it. That's Khan level, and it works for Khan. Like when Khan's
Mhm.
like, you're like, there's no hope for him. He's done. He's so hell bent on revenge. It's like the Moby Dick thing, and also like first contact with Picard. It's like once the need for vengeance against your perceived enemy is so
Right.
powerful, it's like the writers, the storytellers have no other choice but to say, you can't live obviously now because
Yeah,
you
yeah,
want
and
to destroy everything.
and I kind of don't like how they named a planet after him. I'm like,
Ugh.
really? Whatever, whatever.
You know,
So,
why they named it's his white privilege.
oh, okay, okay.
It's like he was a bad guy, but he has white privilege still. So no, I'm joking. It's just a weird joke. I'm trying to be funny, like Robin Williams. Oh,
Mhm.
uh, hello. Hmm. Uh, that's my impression of Robin Williams. Oh, there was somebody
I think you
I
got to
was
work on that
I'm
one.
working on impressions like by myself because I'm crazy.
Yeah.
I forget which one I was getting really good at. It's totally slipped my mind. It's not John Malkovich. I don't care. Whatever. Let's move on. Uh, Star Trek Prodigy on Netflix. So December 25th, 2023, we will get, I'm assuming, wait, let's see. All 20 episodes? Let's look at the article. Share screen. It's better that we don't have cameras on this point because it'll help.
Pretty choppy, I can tell.
Close ad. There you go. The animated series Star Trek Prodigy has found a new streaming home on Netflix, and we now know when the first season will be available December 25th, 2023. This has been a good week for Star Trek Prodigy, with a release announcement coming on the heels of a new Emmy nomination. This is an older article, by the way. This was announced November
A while
9th.
ago. Yeah.
Yeah, so Trek movie has confirmed the release will include all 20 episodes of the first season, which I in love because there's so many people now going to be exposed to this show, and I gotta say that Netflix has established a standard for animation.
Right.
They're what when they put on an animated content, for example, Arcane, for example, Blue Eye Samurai, like beautiful animation. They there's a movie on there, The Mitchells versus the Machines or something like that. It's an animated movie, like very well done. Prodigy, I'm gonna be real here. Stop sharing. Um, it is not up to the standard of the better animated series. It needs. I find that first season is the best season of modern Trek, and you don't agree. I know we're gonna get to that in a second, but it's the best season of modern Trek aside from Picard season 3. But
Right.
if that animation was like Netflix quality, and I'm not saying the animation quality is going to change because they're on Netflix now, but perhaps uh, if it season 3, say like Netflix would be more involved, because in this case, season 2 that's coming out, not December 25th, season 1 is being released, but whenever season 2 comes out in 2024, whether it's a
Mhm.
5 episode, 10 episode release in chunks like that, or maybe they do like, I doubt they'll do all 20. I think my prediction
They're
is
not going
that
to do all
they will
20.
they'll do 10 and 10. 10 at probably early in the year, and then the
Right.
other 10 at the end of the year, something like that,
Hmm.
which will totally not have anything to do with what Paramount Plus is doing and their schedule. There's no coordination there. It's just that Paramount
Hmm.
did pay for uh, season 2, because they were already
Right.
doing it when they pulled the plug. And
Right.
instead of just scrapping it and writing it off as a tax or whatever, like they like to do now, they're like, hey, see if you can find somebody to, you know, take in. And
Right.
Netflix,
Well,
so many people said Netflix and there it happened. Go ahead, sorry.
I'm gonna make my feelings on Prodigy really, really short and really, really sweet. I'm really happy for everybody that likes the show, but Prodigy is not for me. It's just
Tell me more, tell me more.
yeah,
No,
I tried. I don't wanna belabor the point. I tried. See,
that's good, Marcelo, because we're gonna move
I
on.
yeah.
Strange New Worlds season 3 is in production.
Yep.
Uh, I think
I'm
the last
I'm
time
really
we
stoked.
talked, I kept saying like, I don't think there's gonna. Like, I was joking that I was like, yeah, I think they're gonna cancel it. They're not gonna make season 3 because of the actor strike. But no, no. Of course, they were already in pre-production when everything got shut down. Uh,
Right.
I I have this passive aggressive attitude now toward Strange New Worlds, because I'm like, you fucking had me, guys. You had me. I was on board with the season 1. It wasn't the greatest thing ever, but it was good,
Right.
mostly good.
Mhm.
Season 2, though, has some damn good episodes. Two in particular, the second and the eighth episode, are
Yeah,
really
yeah,
fucking good. And then the
yeah,
rest is
man.
kind of like, ah? It's a weird mix of super
I
serious and
know.
super fucking weird and silly and experimental, and I admire the balls. Oh, I'm sorry,
Yeah, I
that's a
know.
that's a sexist term now. I admire the lady balls. Uh,
How about this? How about this? I admire the chutzpah. That's yeah. There we
the
go.
chutzpah, the cojones, the
Yeah,
gravitas, the
yeah, the chutzpah.
the
I know.
testicular fortitude. No,
No, when you listen, when you think of Strange New Worlds, especially the last season, my feelings are known because I reviewed all of the season 2 episodes with most of the season 2 episodes with this gentleman right here on my channel, Balloon Hair Productions. Shameless little plug. But I view season 2 as sort of like a mixed bag of things, and I kind of feel like they didn't sort of get it right. But with that being said, I feel that most of it worked for the most part.
yeah, it's I can see why, because when I had the Twitter X, I don't have it anymore. I don't want. I don't want. I don't want to do social media. It's emotionally draining, but I can't handle it. I'm a softie. But here's the
Right.
thing. I did a tweet on the musical episode where I filmed I recorded on my phone the Klingon part where the Klingons sing, "Make your
Yeah.
blood scream," and I said this is the single worst thing, and I was very blunt and just like, this is bad. This is not. This is, Anyway, so you had people like a lot of people saw it. It was retweeted by a lot of big YouTubers. Well, not a lot, but a few of them who were like really
Yeah.
prominent
Mhm,
that garnered my tweet attention that I didn't expect. And
mhm.
to to the internet's credit, there weren't very many like people calling me like this and that and the other thing. Like some people were like, "You can't enjoy music," and like it's basically like, you don't like the thing I like. Well, you don't enjoy things. It's like, what an absurd statement, people make that statement all the time to everybody, like each other. It's like,
Mhm.
you don't like it because you can't enjoy it, or you're like, you don't. It's like, I don't like a thing because I thought it fucking sucked. Everybody has that perception, and to pretend otherwise is foolish. Like if you just don't like it, some people, honestly, I'm sure everybody's guilty at some point, have pretended to be like, just for a friend's sake, like, oh yeah, I like that romantic comedy, yeah, yeah, love Actually, yeah, sure, it was great,
Yeah.
great, loved it. And in your head, you're like, oh my god, I had to sit through that. Twilight, one of the Twilight movies, I had to sit with somebody and watch that, and I told her, I was like, oh yeah, it's interesting. I was like, that was garbage. I hated it.
N
It was torture
no.
watching it. It was literal. It was like, oh my god, when is this movie ending? The movie wasn't long, but it was like, will it ever end? And this thing, like when you express a blunt opinion online, some people are gonna get really hurt, and I feel bad for a split second. Like, oh my god, I'm ruining their enjoyment of it. But then I think that's stupid. They're ruining their enjoyment of it. They're seeking
Yeah,
out
no.
the counter opinion to themselves just to get fucking riled up and to say, you're stupid, loser, pathetic. And it's like, you don't know me. You haven't even looked at my Twitter and seen all the positive shit I said about, you know, stuff.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, if you're looking for a whole, if you're looking for a whole cold cloth, if you're looking for really, straight reason to stay off Twitter and to stay off social media in general, that's it. Because in today's society, unfortunately, you have to agree with the masses, or you have to agree with the with what the uh consensus agrees with. If you don't, you'll be labeled as a dissenter, and you'll be cast aside, you'll be called names, and you'll be cast out like a leper,
Eh,
unfortunately.
Yeah. So, and in fairness, it's only like a few, like, but I expected more hate. Like, but a lot of people were agreeing with it. That's the thing.
Right.
Far more people were saying, "Yeah, this is not good." Like I agree,
Mhm.
and some people were like kind of harsh, like this everything about modern Trek fucking. I'm like, I'm not one of those people who's like everything sucks about it. I'm like, no, I enjoy parts of it. I just find that too much of it is not up to par. There
Right,
can be
right,
good
right.
shit in there, all good episodes of this and that, whatever. But come on, you got to
Yeah.
do better, guys. You got to reassess and say not only what do fans want, but like what's respectful. And I don't want to be the guy who says you can't do a Star Trek musical episode. Certainly, there is room for that. There's plenty of sci-fi excuses to do that,
Mhm.
but just the way they did it in this episode
Didn't
wasn't
really work.
entirely. It didn't really work, but it wasn't terrible.
No.
But people will be like, "You fucking hate it." I'm like, "No, I just hate that one part." Yeah, you didn't see that tweet that garnered no attention where I praised
Mm.
Celia Gooding.
Yeah,
You know, for that
yeah.
"Keep Us Connected" song, which I think is a very good song. When in
Mhm.
the context of a serious Star Trek show, the Strange New Worlds just stepped over the line. I hope in season 3 they dial it back and they find the balance. I don't think this super serious, super silly combination works at all.
Mm, mm.
And it can work for individual episodes, but not as because it the tones are shifting every fucking episode. If you only
Right.
watched the even numbered ones, you would get a much more serious season. If you only watched the odd number ones, you'd be like, "This is goofy as hell." Like
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
it's weird.
It
But
is
now
weird.
the Gorn shit at the end really was like, ah, come on, guys, the fucking Gorn stuff.
Yeah,
It's
I'm on record on what I think about the Gorn. If you wanna know what I think about the Gorn and you really wanna know, you'll be able to find my thoughts. But I'm like, yeah, they could have done something better, but I'm like, okay, okay.
and who do you think we're gonna see Scotty? I guess in season 3.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I have no doubt that we're gonna see Scotty in season 3 because uh someone who got infected in the finale of season 2 is probably going to die,
Mm-hmm.
and that'll make room for Scotty. I believe. Look. I don't know for sure, but that's what I think.
Yeah, and the dude who plays Scotty is like I think way too young or something, or is he? Yeah, he's way
Right.
too young.
Right. Well. He can grow into the role.
But people age differently in the future. That's the way I look at it. It's like some people are like, you know, it. Um,
Right.
yeah, I would. Here's the thing about Captain Pike. He's an odd duck in terms of a character. He he's really a milk toast, I guess, or I don't know how to
He's
explain.
really
He's like a
he's
kind
he
dad.
right.
He's a kind daddy. There you
Mhm.
go. Well, so I don't know. I didn't mean that to mean what it sounded like, but yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean he's very, very, very unlike the previous incarnations of his character on the small screen and the big screen, but I think it works for the type of character that Ensign Mount wants to do. And if you have issues with that, then you have issues with that. If you have issues with that, then you have issues with that. But I personally think that what he does works. With that being said, his whole reaction in the finale was kind of underplayed. I would have much rather have him be have to deal with the moment instead of deal with shell shock. Now I understand that when the writers initially wrote that, they didn't think that they were going into the longest writer streak, but still, that was my only problem with Anson Mount this season, like his final moments on the bridge of the Enterprise when what happened in that episode happened.
I thought he had a really good performance in the episode where they all lost their memory and they had to go in the castle to get their memory back, and he's like
Right, right,
about to
right,
kill that guy.
right.
Uh, I think Pike is more interesting when you put him in extreme situations, kind of like you did with Kirk,
Mhm.
where like that episode in the first season where he sees the dead kid
Right.
and like the other kid's gonna die, and like there's nothing he can do about it, and like his reactions to like horrific things, like he's this is why that ending, that cliffhanger in season 2,
Right.
was like he's just got this look on his face that's so disappointing, and you're
Right.
like, oh, this is the time, and I know you got to delay like the what he says for the next season because I'll find out, but I'm like, oh, just the way it ended was so cringy. Um, I do think the way they did the Klingon designs in that episode, where they had a variation, worked. I'm
Right.
like, yes, yeah, and don't forget about the Discovery stuff. And some people, I said that in the chat. Some I'm like, uh, yeah, we can forget about that Discovery makeup now. And then somebody's
Right.
like, well, Discovery happened. Those Klingons are canon. I'm like, I didn't want to get into the whole thing about how, yeah, didn't you notice that in season 2 they tried to retcon that like right away?
Hmm.
Oh, they've got hair now because they
Yeah.
shaved
Let's.
their heads in
Yeah. Let's not.
war. Oh, it's so stupid.
Yeah. Let's not get into that.
And yeah, and exactly, because like now they've corrected it, and so I'm sure there's some people disappointed that they don't have the 60s Klingons. I don't agree with bringing that back at all.
Hmm.
But they did the brilliant thing that I've always wanted them to do. They showed the variation in ridge density, where you have some Klingons that look way more human than others.
Right.
That's good stuff. That's a
Hmm.
way. That's what they did. That's one of the greatest things about Picard seasons 1, especially in
Right.
terms of Romulan design. Let's take even the Kelvin stuff, because we didn't see the certain design in the Kelvin movies before in Romulans. Saw something similar in TNG, but not the same
Hmm.
thing. So in Picard, they're like, we'll show that, we'll show TNG, and we'll show TOS movie and TV show Romulans, and
Right. Right. Right.
they made it totally work. And now that's all. That's how you bring canon into a logical place. They went too
Hmm.
far with the Klingon explanation in Enterprise, where they're
Yeah.
like, this is why they were smooth. You didn't have to do that. Because when they
Yeah.
started Enterprise and they showed the rigid headed Klingons, I was like, good, don't explain it. And then they went ahead and did it anyway. I'm like, oh, come on. The DS9 episode where they go back to the Enterprise and Odo says, those are Klingons? That's
Yeah.
exactly what I
And
said as a kid when I saw TOS Klingons for the first time. And I didn't even know they were Klingons. Somebody said Klingons. I'm like, what? Those are Klingons? Those?
mhm.
And I didn't understand that the whole thing about they changed with the motion picture, and I figured that out
Right.
later.
Right.
But that's the
Yeah.
Strange New Worlds should continue with that in terms of makeup. Like, yes, you're respecting canon. Good, good, good. You're doing something right.
Good for you.
Good for you, Strange New Worlds. Let's move on to this Academy series that's coming out.
Yeah.
Tawny
Uh,
Newsome is writing for it. We don't.
yeah.
There's canon cops on board and everything. We don't even know where it's set yet, and that's what irritates me a little bit.
Yeah. Look, when it comes to this series,
When I'm sorry, when it's set, not where. Sorry, go ahead.
yeah, yeah.
I had to
When it
correct
comes to
myself.
this series, I really hope that it's the OC in space, and the reason why I say that is because the co-showrunner next to Alice Kurtzman wrote Nancy Drew, but also for most of my life as a Star Trek fan, I've wanted to see young cadets going through Starfleet Academy, so I'm really, really excited to see how this goes. I'm really not sure how Tanny Newson is going to do as a writer, but maybe she's very talented, and maybe that's why Alex let her come into the writers' room. Well, she is a talented comedian, so there is that to consider as well. But with all the new Star Trek coming up, this is the one that I'm most intrigued about, so to speak.
Yeah, it's hard for me to get excited when I like. I'll be honest, dude. I guess it was assumed very early on that it might be a spin-off of Discovery because they had that Discovery episode in season 3 where she's with the cadets. People were like, "Oh
Right?
yeah," and they were talking about the start. This is the backdoor pilot. I'm like, well, nobody really said that officially. I don't think, but
Mhm.
I haven't been able to find out when this Starfleet Academy series is set. And I'll tell you, if they announce, yes, I like Mary Wiseman to have work after Discovery. I think she will anyway. But I don't think doing it with her in the 32nd century. I don't. It's gonna. It's gonna. Nobody want. I don't think anybody wants. There are people that want it, sure, but I think most people are like, please, can you
Yeah.
just do it in Picard's timeline, or even like I don't know, uh, somewhere between TOS and TNG or something like that. I would rather that than 32nd century. Come on. But the
Yeah.
Canon Cops comment with Tawny Newsom made me think that maybe it's not in the 32nd century.
Yeah, I look, one of the most intriguing things about this series is what PJ said, what PJ just said, where is it going to be set and how that's going to affect canon and all the machinations that that can bring. So it's really going to be really interesting.
Where and when, like, if it's the 32nd century, it might not. I want the San Francisco setting.
Right.
I want
Well,
that. Yeah.
you might get
Go ahead,
you
sorry.
might sorry, you might get that. You might get that. But
Remember, there's a place in Los Angeles where they filmed like a lot of scenes for Starfleet Academy in the TNG kind of Voyager DS9 era.
right.
Before
I can't
yeah, the
I can't
Dominion War and like they fucked up San Francisco again. But before yeah,
yeah,
but
I can't recall right now.
yeah, this certain area or building that they use, I saw on YouTube years ago, like they use it for all these different filming locations in certain action movies and stuff. It's it's just a cool looking futuristic building for its time, I guess.
Right.
Uh, I should have looked up where it was, but yeah, that if they could probably utilize that again if that's still there. If they want to do it in TNG times,
Yeah, who knows?
I
They
would
might.
love to. Oh my god, think about this young fucking Picard and shit. Oh, dude, if they were like, this is a young Picard show with Jack and Beverly, I'll be like, oh, people are gonna go crazy.
That would be
But
cool.
I think they would also like it if it was set post Picard season 3, so
Right.
you could potentially have cameos from legacy characters, anybody from who's around still around from DS9, Voyager, TNG. It
Right.
would be
Well,
amazing.
it'll it'll be interesting. It definitely would.
But all that being said, now wouldn't it be? Doesn't it? Isn't it extra clear that it would kind of be a bummer if they were like 32nd century? It's like, oh,
Yeah,
we're so far removed from everything again. No,
yeah,
no.
yeah, yeah.
You can you can
That
only do prequels or far in the future. You can't do it like real time, like not real. The real time in terms of the
right,
TNG Picard era, where the
right. I know
actors
what
are
you're.
aging and in
Yeah.
in accordance. So in Star Trek times now, it's what 2404.
I think 24/4. I think so.
Like if a
I'm not.
Picard type show picked up right now, they'd probably be in 2404
I suck with
or
dates, so you can't really. You can't really trust me.
2403. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's that. And
Yeah.
as Tawny Newsom said, the canon cops are there, so like that makes me think,
Yeah.
what if it's and they're being tight-lipped about what it's about, though. They really don't want to
Of
say
course they are. Of course
where
they
and
are.
when.
Because
So I'm thinking it's
because
going to be a
you,
big
you
surprise.
do you know why they're being tight-lipped about it? Because if they told us in advance what it was about, they would have almost a year and a half of people like us, not
Bitching.
saying that it's going to be us, bitching about their choices. If they wait till the last possible second to tell us, that will mitigate all the bitching.
Now that I said it, I think the like a young. It doesn't even have to be a Picard. It could be anybody from the Berman era, kind of. young Berman
Right.
era characters. I wouldn't mind
Ye-
that.
that
They
would
don't
be
have to be
cool.
every
That'd be cool.
single. We don't have to convolutedly, like stupidly put every single body, like everybody knew each other when they were kids, kind of thing. Just
You
certain
know,
ones with a bunch of new characters.
a young Dax or something like that. Maybe that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Can you believe we've been sitting here for an hour?
Okay. Section 31 movie in production. Do you care? I don't.
But no, not really.
No interest in that. Moving on. That was quick. Star Trek 4 won't happen. Move on. Chris Pine. I would be so irritated if I was one of these actors in the Kelvin movies. Like, fuck, stop asking. Like, I don't like. Nothing's happening. Nothing's ever happened in almost 10 years. People,
I okay,
ten years. Well, 8 years
okay,
really, but you know.
okay. So I'm gonna make this real quick. Listen. For those of you who know me personally, you know how much I love the Kelvin timeline in general. So I will just say this: I will believe Star Trek 4 is happening when I'm in the movie theater about to watch it. That's it. Move on.
Yeah. So Trek. Last thing we're going to talk about before we leave. Trek in 2024. Uh,
Wow.
we don't know everything that's coming out, but we do know that there will be 10 episodes of Star Trek Discovery in the first quarter, so at some point. I would
Mhm.
like it to be January. Get it over with. Like,
Yeah,
come on,
January.
let's dole out these 10 episodes and say goodbye. Not that I hate the show, it's just
No,
it's
I
I'm dying, I'm good. And my general consensus is that in terms of live action Trek after Picard season 3, I'm like it's kind of like the Endgame syndrome, I call it, where you had you get something really good, and you're like, well, how are they going to top that? But in terms of Trek, it's been so lackluster when you get Picard
right,
season 3, which some people don't even think is all that.
right.
It to me, it's like, oh, this is really good. I want more of this or something like
Mhm.
this. And then everything that they're announcing is like has nothing to do with that, like nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, I listen, I'm really excited for the final season of Discovery because Discovery sort of reunited my love of Star Trek and sort of ushered me into this online space of punditry when it comes to Star Trek. And also I'm very sentimental towards um Disco, so I'm really interested to see what they're going to do with their final flight here or their final go around the block. But as when it comes to what we could get in 2024, other than that, uh, I have no idea.
I think so. We got 10 guaranteed, sort of, I guess, pretty much.
Mhm.
Uh, Not confirmed, but low. I think Lower Decks is always delivered on time. Yes, they've had a delay, but
Right,
that's in terms of voice acting. I think they could
right,
have done a lot of preparation while the strike was happening.
right. Hmm.
Not the writers though. Well, when the writers went back earlier, but um, so I think we're gonna get Lower Decks in August again of 2024. So
Hmm.
let's just say hypothetically now we have 20 episodes in 2024. In terms of Paramount Plus and their release strategy, unless they do two in 1 week or something, that's we got 20 weeks so far. Then you got the Prodigy on Netflix, which season 2 is supposed to premiere sometime in 2024. Whether it's 10 episodes 1 year and 10 episodes the next, which would comprise the second season, or they do like 10 episodes early, 10 episodes later, or by some chance they're like, here's 20 episodes of season 2 at some point. That's 30 to 40 episodes now that we could have in 2024.
Wow.
And the animation is dominating at this point. Uh, Strange New World is definitely not until 2025.
No,
Even the Section 31 movie, yes, it is a movie. It's not a whole series that they have to do, but I
that'll
think they're gonna.
that'll Section 31 series movie will probably come in 2024 at some time in 2024. Probably, probably late
Mm,
2024, maybe.
yeah, it's a chance.
Yeah.
Uh, and the Academy series, of course. No, we're not getting that next year.
No, we're not. No, hell no.
In terms of
Yeah.
what I would like them to announce, now that Discovery's ending, they're probably going to say, and by the way, Jerry Ryan is now going to star in as captain of the
So true. Yeah.
Enterprise. I'm like, yes, cancel Strange New Worlds because we've already got an Enterprise, folks. Goodbye, Pike and crew. But
Okay, okay,
because when
okay. I think
Discovery
that's
ends, they're probably going to want another one in the belt in terms of
yeah,
like we got to announce new things, we got to keep it going.
yeah,
Uh, I'm not saying they're going to then turn around and cancel Strange New Worlds. Strange New Worlds could be 4 or 5, 6, who knows?
yeah. Who
I
knows?
think
Who knows?
I think a good run is 5 in this day and age.
Yeah,
So
it
it wouldn't
sounds pretty
surprise
good.
me if Strange New Worlds was like 5 and done. Uh, However, if if season 3 sucks and people just like drop off and say like, listen, guys, I gave you enough chances. Like good, like some people with Discovery. I'm sure there were a lot of people who loved Discovery at first, and probably even loved the second season, and then third and fourth were like, okay, well, this is not my. I don't like the 32nd century thing, and that did rub people. That just some people like, no, no thanks. And
Okay.
I was kind of like lackluster on it too. Like Discovery's always the thing that I watch. That individual episodes are I find are good and entertaining, but the seasons overall are never that good.
That's
Uh,
satisfying, right?
but I love the characters. I also love the characters in Strange New Worlds, and it's very disappointing when the creatives behind the story and the words that they put in the actors' mouths aren't up to par. And the actors have to carry all that because all the acting is great. There's rarely ever bad acting. People, some people like Tig Notaro's kind of would. I'm like, no. That's Tig Notaro. Like,
That's Tig. Yeah.
yeah, she that's her. Like, you might, she does play. She has a range. I've seen her in other things.
Hmm.
She was in the morning show. She's a very serious character there. Sometimes
Hmm.
she's like, but
Right.
overall, like, I mean, she's great. I love that the fact that she's there and that they gave her some more stuff in season 4.
Right.
Um,
Right. Right.
but there's some characters in that show that they introduce, and it's like, we don't know what to do with them. Like,
Mm.
that kid who got turned into a real boy.
Yeah. 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 I
Why am
thought
I
there was
forgetting
what
everybody's names? Like
I don't.
Adira?
Yeah.
Adira was the other was the non-binary character,
Gray.
and
I have no idea. Maybe
Gray.
Gray.
Yes.
Listen. The I have a love and hate relationship with this with the Discovery writers. Some of the things that they do work, and some of the things that they do work, and some other things that they try don't work, unfortunately. And yeah, so that's all I had to say about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we're looking forward to what's gonna happen,
What? Yeah. What
and I guess
happened?
I will watch Prodigy on Netflix on Christmas
I'll
because
probably do it too.
I want to see it in that
Just
high quality because we only
oh,
had access to it on Crave and Crave for especially when
sucked.
for animated films like a lower bandwidth or I don't know whatever it is that makes the picture not so crisp
Mhm.
really sucks for animation because
Right.
in animation you want to see the detail and
Uh huh.
though Prodigy isn't like top notch animation it's decent it's certainly watchable it's not hard to look at or anything it's just there's a standard for animated TV now, especially with like I mentioned, Arcane or Blue Eye Samurai, or there's a bunch of them that I don't
Right.
even some of them I don't even really watch. I just see and I'm like, oh my god, the animation is amazing.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
and I'm definitely gonna maybe watch Discover, but my enthusiasm for the whole franchise, dude, is just it's
In the
deflated.
gutter.
It's
In the gutter.
yeah, like I'm about 2 shows and 1 movie away from saying I probably won't watch any of this anymore.
Yeah.
Unless like they keep giving like it's like they give me just enough sometimes where I'm like, all right, let's see what you got up your sleeve.
Yeah.
Oh, Section 31 movie, huh? You're doing that?
Well,
Uh, oh, Starfleet
let
Academy series, 32nd Century. Oh, fuck you guys.
yeah. So, you remind me you constantly remind me of that Robert De Niro quote in The Godfather. I was out, but they keep pulling me
Pulling
back
me
in,
back
right?
in.
Yeah.
Just when I thought I was out, they pull me right back or something like that.
Yeah. Mhm, yeah.
Oh
So,
man, I
yeah.
watched Al Pacino and Robin Williams in Christopher Nolan's Insomnia the other night. What a movie! Every time I watch it, I'm like, oh my god, it's so good. The Stellan Skarsgård original version, the Norwegian version, where it's in Norway and Land of the Midnight Sun shit. I I did see a lot of clips of it. I'm like, oh, it doesn't have the same impact as that Nolan movie. I think the remake, although I haven't seen the original in its entirety, I think the
Right.
remake just feels better. Like I love watching it. Like Al Pacino's
Mhm.
so good, Robin Williams is so good. He can't sleep, and it looks like Al Pacino, the actor himself, has been up for weeks. Like,
Yeah.
look,
Yeah,
oh,
that movie is a really underrated Christopher Nolan movie for sure, yeah.
it is, aside from Batman Begins and Dark Knight, is probably my favorite.
Yeah.
I like all his earlier stuff. Haven't seen
Mhm.
Memento yet. It's the only one I haven't seen besides Oppenheimer. Oh, Tenet. Oh, wasn't I don't like that movie.
Mhm.
It's just a headache. It's a headache.
Yep.
Inception was good in the one watch, but
Mhm.
I'm like, I wouldn't. I'm not gonna watch this ever again. I like it, but I'm not gonna watch it again because it's just, yeah, it feels like a weird
Mhm.
fucking like dream. It
Yeah.
does have that effect where it's like a dream and a dream and a dream.
Right.
It's trippy, but it's like this. All of this is way too specific for dream stuff because it's like holodeck. Yeah, it's weird. It's
Hollywood.
weird.
Yeah.
Huge suspension of disbelief in that regard.
Yeah, huge suspension.
But then again, he did make a movie about a billionaire that dresses as a bat at night and beats up criminals.
He did. He did.
He
For sure
invented
he did.
He invented Batman. All right, thank you for joining me. I'm going to get on camera briefly for a second. Uh, Thank you for
Thank you
joining
for
me,
having me.
Marcella.
Thank you.
And this has been a great discussion. We should do this more often.
It
Get
has. Yeah, we
Ken
should.
on board too.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, I haven't spoken to Ken in a long time. That'd be nice to catch up with him.
he's a busy guy. I often am like self conscious about bugging people to come on live streams because you're asking for
Yeah.
people's time. It's a real
Yeah.
thing,
Yeah.
and
Hey, I'm
I'm
a
obviously not
podcaster.
paying anybody watching, and it's more of a just a personal thing. If anybody watches it and gets anything out of it, more power to them.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Until next time, folks. Live long and prosper.